You've been hit by a truck. Your head is pounding, your stomach is turning, and your body is screaming for more. You need help, but you don't know where to turn, and you're terrified of the judgment and stigma. This is the reality for millions of people in the United States who are struggling with drug abuse. Envision what a drug addict looks like: emaciated, poor hygiene, a sickly appearance. Many people have this singular perception of what addiction is. But what if I told you that this belief was completely wrong? What if I told you that what you have always believed to be true about drug abuse was based on stereotypes and not realities? You see a homeless man on the subway. He appears unkempt and exhibits erratic behaviors. In your head, you may be thinking that he's mentally ill or a drug addict. You may be thinking that he'll be in the same dark place for the next several years, sleeping on streets, begging for money, and relying on drugs and alcohol to ease the harshness of life. Let me introduce you to THISTLE. Jess had a hopeful future. He was popular in school and got along with everyone. He graduated through a special program, and at 21 years old, he got a stable job working as a maintenance man. But shortly after, his mother passed away from breast cancer, and he quickly turned to meth, which would consume him for the next 8 years. He became houseless. His back was sore from enduring sleepless nights on hard surfaces. His feet were covered in blood from walking down the streets repeatedly, and his spirit was crushed after years of letdowns and defeats. Jess is the homeless man you saw on the subway. He's not just a drug addict, he's a person with a story much like your own. When we see people like Jess, an important question arises: what kinds of individuals are most likely to use substances? A study was recently conducted by Wake Forest University School of Medicine to demonstrate the effects of cocaine on dominant aggressive monkeys and subordinate passive monkeys. Researchers exposed 4 dominant and 4 subordinate monkeys to a socially stressful situation in which one monkey was placed in an unfamiliar cage surrounded by other monkeys. After 40 minutes in the unfamiliar cage, each monkey could choose between pressing a lever that delivered a food reward or cocaine. The results were shocking. The subordinate monkeys were more likely to choose cocaine than the dominant monkeys. So what does this study convey about people? Like subordinate monkeys, vulnerable individuals such as those who experience chronic stress, anxiety, and depression are more likely to use drugs. These substances fill a void inside of them, both emotionally and physically. My peers and I wanted to break down the barriers of shame surrounding drug abuse and truly support those who personally experience or struggle with it. So we founded Pier A, an organization that educates individuals on drug abuse and mental health. We work to facilitate drug EDU courses and academic curriculums across the US. We also raise awareness about substance abuse through speaker panels with professional drug interventionists and certified psychiatrists and professors. One speaker from our panel stood out to me: Pejman Alakamandan, an experienced drug interventionist who helps people struggling with drug abuse through his podcast, Pej's Recovery Corner, and social media outlets. In an interview with Pej, I asked him what the most common misconception of drug abuse was. He answered, stigma. Countless individuals believe that drug addicts or users have a lower level of life and caliber, that they're not as intelligent, capable, or appealing as a quote-unquote normal person. Pej described an inspiring story of PJ, a Persian man in his 50s who was a heroin addict. After bringing PJ into a recovery home, Pej noticed that the man was so acclimated to his street life that he would still sleep outdoors instead of remaining in the warm comfort of the home. One day, Pej noticed that PJ wasn't completing their mandatory writing assignments and was instead writing his life story. PJ wanted to write a book about his recovery. Years later, Pej reconnected with PJ in Texas, discovering that he was no longer homeless and had quit heroin for 1.5 years. He published his own book called Tracks of My Tears, and Pej was a key figure included in that book. One statement Pej said that stuck with me was this: the youth is our future. You all have a unique perspective that can challenge the status quo and push for change. We need to change the way we talk about drug abuse. We need to create a world where seeking help is not only accepted, but encouraged. If you are struggling with drug abuse or addiction, do not hesitate to ask for help. There are countless individuals you can reach out to, whether that is a friend, support group, professor, professional, or drug interventionist. If you know someone who is struggling with drug abuse, do not be afraid to contact them and let them know that they can seek help and guidance, that drug use is not the only outlet. Every person has a story. Addiction is only a small fragment of people's lives, not what defines them. Together, we can create a safer, healthier, and more hopeful future for our generation and generations to come. Drug abuse is preventable. It is treatable. It is helping others so that they aren't hit by the same drug you were. Thank you.